Hey, well, thank you. It's a special honor for me to introduce my friend Bran Potter on this occasion. And Bran is a noted mentor and guide for generations of people, really, over several spheres. First, a guide to the workings of the natural earth. He's a geologist and has taken students on adventures, both physical and and intellectual across the years. I've been privileged to go on one of Brand's Western geology field trips. Really a life-changing experience for many students. And he's a guide not only in the workings of this physical earth we inhabit, but things of the spirit. Bran has for many years, with his wife Cindy, guided students in our catechumenate program here at the University of the South that takes place in All Saints Chapel. One of his signature courses has been called Walking the Land. And many have walked the land with Bran and learned a great deal about it and about themselves in the process. A few years ago, Bran was named Tennessee Professor of the Year by the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Learning. And one of the memories that particularly stands out for me was Bran back in the year 2020, when, as we know, many usual operations shut down. The university usually has a wonderful, colorful commencement service that did not take place. And Bran was the commencement all by himself, and he gave what still is in my mind the very best commencement speech I've ever heard. Delivered it online and complete with song, as we'll be hearing this evening. So he's a guide both to this earth and to things of the spirit. And last but not least, he's, of course, a singer and he'll tell you some along the way, I trust, about the many contexts in which he's contributed the song. But in any event, I'm pleased at this point to introduce Bran Potter. Let me call him a troubadour of the green world.
Well, thank you, John. It's a lot to live up with, and I appreciate your kind words. I'll start with a song and then a little bit of introduction with some words about my background that might help you understand what will take place and why the songs I've selected are the ones that you'll hear. My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails the new creation. Above the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I hear the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? I lift my eyes, the crowd grows thin. I see the blue above it, and day by day this pathway smooth, since first I learned to love it. The peace of Christ makes fresh my heart, a fountain ever springing. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing. That just sets the stage for someone who, myself, I grew up in a musical family. I was blessed to have a mother and father who both loved music. My dad was a real musician, played the accordion, was one of the people that sang Bloody Mary is the Girl I Love in the South Pacific. I remember it distinctly. My mother could not carry a tune. She loved to sing, and she sang some very good songs that all of us remember. All of my siblings, I have 5 of them, everybody's a singer. And I have a couple of siblings who are really quite wonderful musicians. And we all have music as part of our lives, and that's an important part of what we do. We are able to sing together in the Adirondacks, which has been wonderful through our lives. It helps, I think, that there's no electricity there. It just helps nourish the singing, I believe. We have gatherings at our home. Cindy and I sing weekly with friends. I loved singing in the school when my kids were in, before kindergarten. Those are the kids that can learn songs quickly. You'd go in the second time, these kids are 4 years old, bam, they got the song. And so you realize that the rest of us are pikers in terms of learning songs. It's those young minds that can soak up those songs. On field trips with students over the years, I have heard some wonderful, talented musicians and shared with them. Some of the people I've taught astound me. And that's been a very rich part of my life. And I have had the pleasure of welcoming students at a bonfire, singing songs to them, one of which I'll sing tonight, when they come to campus and are thinking about a place and how to connect with that place. I think a real key is this for me. I have tried year after year to learn several songs by heart. And I have a sister who plays the flute, and we can do it by heart. We're not looking at music. Mary and I are just playing. And it is a gift, a true gift to be able to do that with family or anyone else. So I want to say this theme tonight is absolutely universal. Everybody listening, okay, be thinking about what you would do in your talk about songs of the natural world. We're steeped in these songs. We know many of these songs. It's just that I have a few choices that I'll make, and I'll try to explain them. It's an autobiographical kind of journey, and this is why I'm giving you some background here. Both music and the natural world have this amazing and, you know it, powerful way of moving us, sometimes in just a moment. It doesn't take long, just a little glimpse of light. You'll see in the second song we do, after this little introduction, there's a little piece about "o'er white expanses sparkling pure, the radiant morns unfold." That sparkling, just that tiny little reflection can send a whole series of memories through you. And I have been able to, as many of us have, for better or for worse this week, enjoy some of that white expanse. So I'm going to just end by this little comment by saying, I think that for many of us, and particularly for me, music and song can be a form of prayer. And so the songs that I've chosen, some of you may think, is that a sacred song? No, it is not a sacred song unless you understand the larger context, which is the whole created order is sacred, and we are influenced in so many different ways by this created order as individual humans. I'm going to start with a couple of hymns because this is where a lot of my singing began. I'll start with one that I can't remember a family wedding where we did not sing for the beauty of the earth. For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around around us lies. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. I'm finally getting my guitar into it, folks. There is a guitar here, and you're not going to hear a lot of it, but it's a guitar. One of my students from class of '84, Marshall Chapman, uh, was playing when he was a student here, and it's been my pleasure to play it for years. Now, the hymn that I love the most, I think, in terms of thinking about the natural world, I learned from my wife Cindy's Uncle Joe. Cindy and I have sung to our kids. It's just amazing that they're now in their 40s and 50s. But when they were small, every night we would sing to our kids. And toward the end of that time, this song came into our can. But Joe, Cindy's Uncle Joe, played this with great gusto. And the tune, some of you will recognize, it's called Forest Green. All beautiful the march of days as seasons come and go. The hand that shaped the rose hath brought the crystal of the snow, hath sent the hoary frost of heaven, flowing waters sealed, and laid a silent loveliness on hill and wood and field. O'er white expanses sparkling pure, the radiant morns unfold. The solemn splendors of the night shine clearer through the cold. Life melts in every throbbing vein, love's deepens round the hearth, and clearer sounds the angel hymn, goodwill to all on earth. O thou from whose unfathomed law the year in beauty flows, ourself the vision passing by, in crystal and in rose. Day unto day doth utter speech, and night to night proclaim, in ever-changing shades of light, the wonders of thy name. And the hymns, for many of us, could go on and on. I'm being very selective, folks. I'm turning to a theme now which is dear to my heart, and it is one that has a lot to do with the songs that we choose to learn or that we sometimes remember well. And it has to do with place as a way of focusing our songs and thinking about the earth in those places specifically that we know and love. For instance, there was a play here put on in 1987 called Second Sons. It was the first time it had ever been produced. It's about Rugby, Tennessee, and those second sons, those people who weren't inheriting the whole family fortune, coming over here and working hard in a pioneering community north of here on the Cumberland Plateau. And it was fun to be part of this because some of the songs were being written by Dennis Davenport while we were rehearsing the play. This was one of them. It's just a fragment, but it has a lot to do with what frames my idea of environmental stewardship and those prayers that we have in almost any denomination you can think of about our stewardship of the earth. This lovely corner of God's earth has been entrusted unto us. This lovely corner of God's earth has been entrusted unto us, to treat it lovingly, reverently, guard its natural beauty. We must take care, care that our children shall not have cause to say, see what a chance they had back then. They threw it all away in 1880. So that song was a wonderful way of framing that play and of framing some of what I'm about to say here about place. Here's a song that is delivered to the people who uh, some of them very bewildered, who show up at the bonfire the first day of the pre-orientation and are wondering, are they going to make any friends here? What is this place all about? And I say, as you listen to this song, think of places that are precious to you and hold those in your mind as you're listening. This might become one of those places. I knew this place, I knew it well, every sound and every smell. Every time I walked, I fell for the first 2 years or so. There across the grassy yard, I, a young one, running hard, brown, bruised, battle scarred, and lost in sweet illusion. From my window, I can see the fingers of an ancient tree reaching out, calls to me to climb its pearly branches. But all my climbing days are gone, and these tired legs I'm standing on can scarcely dare leave this spot upon which they are standing. I remember every word of every voice I ever heard, every frog and every bird. Yes, this is where it starts. My brothers laugh, the sighing wind. This is where my life begins. This is where I learn to use my hands and hear my heart. This house is old, it carries on like verses to an old time song. Always changed, but never gone. The house can stand the season. Our lives pass on from door to door, dust across the wooden floor like feather rain, thunder roar. He'd not know the reason. As these thoughts come back to me like ships across the friendly sea, like breezes blowing endlessly, like rivers running deep. Day's done, the lights are low, wheels of life they're turning slow. As these visions turn and go, I lay me down to sleep. I knew this place, I knew it well, every sound and every smell. Every time I walked, I fell for the first 2 years or so. The day's done, the lights are low, the wheels of life they're turning slow. As these visions turn and go, I lay me down to sleep. And now I'm going to turn to the other side of the Atlantic, and we're going to, after listening to this wonderful song I've just sung by Dave Mallet, who wrote The Garden Song and many other wonderful songs, we're now turning to a traditional song from the Hebrides. And this song is called Joy of My Heart. And it's Eilean Mula, it's the Isle of Mull. And it turns out that Mull will figure later on in another song. So just think of it as out there near the island of Skye, off the coast of Scotland. And think of the fact that if you were maybe there in the 30s, everybody would have known this song, okay, on the Isle of Mull. Make sure I have the right key. Good. Whether I wander east or west, waking or dreaming, thou art near me, joy of my heart, hail and Beulah. Oh, sing me all the coolings of sky, of Harris and Egg and fair Iona, joy of my heart, hail and Beulah. Reed and heather, how they call me, little wee boy by the hillside, joy of my heart, hail and Beulah. Friendly hearts are waiting to cheer me, welcoming hearts are there to hold me, joy of my heart, hail and Beulah. And whether I wander east or west, waking or dreaming, thou art near me, joy of my heart, hail and Beulah. So there are many other songs of place, and in fact, if you listen for some of the remaining songs, you'll see there's a definite thread of place in there. But I'm going to turn now to something that was a big part of my life and many of our lives during the 1960s. In addition to the Vietnam War, there was an environmental crisis that was upon us that was more evident than ever. And there were some people like Malvina Reynolds who were really doing their part in terms of waking us up. For instance, there were radioactive strontium 19. There were radioactive fallout things happening in my hometown and yours because of above ground testing. And so Malvina Reynolds, who wrote Little Boxes and many other good songs, What Have They Done to the Rain is the one I will do. And another one she did was called God Bless the Grass. And you could go on and on with some of her wonderful ways that she's influenced our culture and our thinking. And this really crossed all the genres, I'll tell you, because even Marianne Faithfull, who is not necessarily a folk singer, you can hear her singing this song. But this is Malvina Reynolds. Just a little rain falling all around. The grass lifts its head to the heavenly sound. Just a little rain, just a little rain. What have they done to the rain? Just a little boy standing in the rain, the gentle rain that falls for years, and the grass is gone, the boy disappeared. Rain keeps falling like helpless tears. What have they done to the rain? Just a little breeze out of the sky. Trees pat their hands as the breeze blows by. Just a little breeze with some smoke in its eye. What have they done to the rain? Just a little boy standing in the rain. The gentle rain falls for you. And it does go on. It's a wonderful song. And I'm going to turn now to another way of dealing with the environmental crisis. And this is straight from the heart of Pete Seeger, who says, you know, you can only take so much in terms of the bad news. Let's take an old song called Sandgate and use that tune. And let's do something that says something about uh, what we're going to do, how we're going to live our lives with all of these tragedies going on. So it's called Well May the World Go. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Sweet may the breezes blow, clear may the streams flow, blue above and green below when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Sweet may the fiddles sound, the banjo play, the old hoedown. Dancers swing round and round when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Sweet may the skiers turn, the swimmers churn, the lovers burn. Peace may the generals learn when I'm far away. Well may the world go, the world go, the world go. Well may the world go when I'm far away. Pete had several other songs like that. He really worked hard taking phrases from the Bible. To everything there is a season. He for all of his protestations about lack of religion was steeped in some of our Christian principles and often brought them out in songs. Now let me see how far I've gotten here. What Have They Done to the Rain, which we sang 2 songs ago, was 1962. The following year, President Kennedy banned above ground testing. This was an era where it wasn't just people singing about it that were getting his attention, but it was an era where song had some power, and song was a different part of the culture than it is now. But I was pleased to see that matching of the political with the arts, and then just with the whole principle of desecration or preservation of our atmosphere, which is part of our earth. Now, I think I have a few more songs. I have a couple of things I'd like to remember with you, and one of them is that this local church here was founded by a person called James Odie. It's our parish church, and the name has been changed. It's now the Chapel of St. Mark, St. Paul's. And when Odie, he's one of the founders of the university. When he was abroad in 1851, he was just north of Iona at Staffa. And this was a celebrated place to visit. And he just was one of these very intrepid people. And I want to read from his journal just to let you know what he was thinking as he approached Fingal's Cave on the Isle of Staffa. Cindy and I have been there. It is the waves are rough. They're smashing into this cave. It is an absolutely beautiful and wild place. Of all things, formed by the erosion of columns of basalt, very dear to my heart here. This is what Odie said in 1851, and it is connected to songs and the natural world. On Iona, we contemplated the work of men, sacred by its association, but still in ruins. Here in Staffa, we looked upon the work of God's hand, and there was no mark of decay here. We then entered the largest and deepest cave of all, called Fingal's Cave, and landed on the rocky sides. I got out the lines of Old Hundred, beginning with the second verse, and we all sang it. Certainly, I never heard that psalm sung with such effect in church or in the deep and great forest. It's just lovely to think that one of the people who founded this town was singing the doxology in Fingal's Cave and having others making music in that most beautiful of places. Okay, now I'm rounding out with three songs, and for those of you who are in your 20s, you're not going to understand, okay? Maybe 30s, I don't know. As you get a little older and you have perspective in terms of looking back at your life and understanding it, perhaps in terms of the context of the natural world, you might run along the lines of Robert Louis Stevenson. You might not be quite that romantic or dramatic, but I love his song about the Isle of Skye. He took a tune and he made his own lyrics to it. And my Uncle Roy, in my childhood, referred me to this 1894 songbook and said, when you go to Scotland, make sure you buy this book, which I did. And this is one of the books in the one of the songs in the book. It's called Over the Sea to Skye. I'm going to follow that with something completely different. Another way of looking back at your life, but quite different than Stevenson. This is from the singing of Gordon Bach, and it's called Duna. And then we'll finish up with the Seeger song. But here is one that allows you perhaps to look back on some of your time on this beautiful earth. Sing me a song of a lad who is gone. Say, could that lad be I? Merry of soul to sail on a day over the sea to Skye. Mull was the stern, rum on the port, egg on the starboard bow. Glory of youth glowed in his soul. Where is that glory now? Sing me a song of a lad who's gone. Say, could that lad be I? Merry of soul, he sailed on a day over the sea to Skye. Give me again all that was there. Give me the sun that shone. Give me the eyes, give me the soul, give me the lad that's gone. Sing me a song of a lad who's gone. Say, could that lad be I? Merry of soul, he sailed on a day over the sea to Skye. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me's gone. Sing me a song of a lad who is gone. Say, could that lad be I? Now merry of soul, he sailed on a day over the sea to Skye. Now turn across the Atlantic again. You have some time to think, be quiet, think about where you've been. When I was a little lad, with folly on my lips, fain was I for journeying all the seas and ships, but I'm weary of the sea wind, and I'm weary of the fall, and the little streams of Duna call me home.
The British invasion.
When I was a young, for my beard was gray, all the seas and islands I gave my heart away. Now across the southern swells, every dawn I hear the little streams of Duna running clear.
Just a moment here. If
Now,
you haven't, excuse me, Bran, if you haven't muted your microphone, would you please mute your microphones so we won't have interference with Bran? Thank you.
Robin, you took the words right out of my mouth. Thank you, sir. So,
All that Zoom teaching.
so 18 years ago, my friend Bob Hughes published a book that represented really his life's work. He taught here at the School of Theology. We sang so much together in the Sewanee Chorale. He was always in Gilbert and Sullivan pieces. He was the star, and he just was a larger than life man. He wrote a book called Beloved Dust, and this year in the cemetery at St. Mary's, in a very small, tidy hole, after his wife Barbara had sat down and talked to the congregation of maybe 30 or 40 of us, just simply about their lives. Just a beautiful moment. The ashes were poured into the hole. The dust came out of that hole, settled back down, and it was so such a gift for me to be there when Bob was put into the ground, into his old brown earth. And that is the title of the final piece here, To My Old Brown Earth. Interestingly, written in 1964 by Seeger. I caught up with this song at the time of Seeger's death. And I have been a close follower of Seeger for many, many years. And so I'm making up for lost time. I have just loved this song in those years since Pete died. This is something that he wrote because he really had a time, many times of being asked to sing at funerals and so forth. And this is his song for that. To my old brown earth and to my old blue skies, I now give these last few molecules of I. And you sing, and you who stand nearby, I do charge you not to cry. Guard well our human chain. Mark well, you keep it strong. As long as sun will shine. And this our hope. Keep pure and sweet and green. For now I'm yours, and you are also mine. So it's been a rather brief time with you. I really appreciate the fact that you've been listening, and I really also hope that you have found some songs in that memory tucked away that you might be humming tomorrow. But it is really a pleasure to be here and to have reflected somewhat autobiographically about songs of the natural world. And I am thankful to Mary who helped set this up, and certainly to Robin and to John and to all of you for joining. If there are comments, I'm not familiar with how this is now run, but I'll turn it back to Robin.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bran. It's a delight to hear you, uh, and I love the autobiographical aspect of it. It's also quite excited that you started off with "How Can I Keep from Singing," which is one of my all-time favorite songs. Uh, so I was just wondering, for all of us listening here, what what songs in particular along these lines speak to you? Now, "How Can I Keep from Singing" speaks to me, and I can think of others, but I would like to know uh, what songs speak to you and perhaps why. What is it about song that also leads you to the natural world and perhaps vice versa? So, if what we can do is you can either put your comments or questions or your thoughts in the chat, or just raise your hand. If you go down to the bottom of your screen, you'll see there, sometimes it react, and you can raise your hand there, and then that'll move you to the upper left part of our screen. You can see your hand up, and we can call on you. So uh, please share what might be on your mind at this point then. See, now I'm trying to get my own screen to go back to out of speaker view here. So John or Mary, if you see somebody before I can get my screen to behave, then please call on them.
I'll start just to get you going here. My comment, it comes as recently as this last week. We're singing a short hymn that is so powerful. They left their nets in Galilee, and it's about just taking up with Christ the disciples. And the last verse, "The peace of Christ, it is no peace." It is so powerful, and it is so much the natural world. There they are fishing, and they put down their fishing nets and follow. And that really struck me. And I know I just remember a comment from one of my former students, who's now a professor, Robin Rotman's, how powerfully that struck her senior year, that particular hymn. That hymn is one of the shortest in the entire hymnal, and yet it is so powerful.
Kathy, I thank you, Bran. I see your hand up. Oh, you're muted, Kathy.
Yes. Oops.
You're fine now.
Okay. Well, right before I came on for this Zoom, I was outside, and the moon was shining, and the clouds were kind of around it. And I always like to think about 'twas in the moon of winter time, when there's a nice winter moon, and it's almost a full moon, or it's getting there. And so that I like that's a Christmas carol that is involved with the natural world. And certainly I grew up with "For the Beauty of the Earth," and so, and I just wanted to say also how much I appreciate this conversation, because I think singing and music is such a natural way to connect with nature. So thank you so much.
Ah, wonderful.
Let's see. Robin, you were sharing in the chat. Would you care to share?
Sure. I was just thinking back to that freshman bonfire and a different song, which was Across the Great Divide, which was really like at the transition between childhood and adulthood, or the transition from our hometowns to Sewanee. So just thinking back on that tonight.
Great to think of that song. Yes. We all have these. I think if we're lucky, we're always living on a divide, right? Because it allows you to see in two directions instead of just being stuck in one place.
And if I could just follow from that, that song also had an impact on me that I heard for the first time on one of your field trips, Bran. And maybe that leads to a question I'd pose to you, because of course singing does express and speak to the soul, as you dramatized so well for us this evening and on many other occasions. And yet there's a different quality that singing has when we sing with others, so we connected to each other, to the earth, and so on. And that's been a part of your life, I know, and on many occasions. And I wanted to just sort of comment on some of the occasions where group singing has been, part of what you considered important. Perhaps, as you mentioned, that if singing is a form of prayer, then group singing is also a certain form of liturgy in its own right, whether or not connected to our church liturgies and such. I wanted to just sort of comment, Bran, on some of your experiences singing with others. But certainly, as you noted, you sing with others on many occasions.
Well, thank you for that lead in, because first of all, as I scan the screen here, there are many names I don't know, but I'm just moved by the fact that, man, there are people here, not only whom I know, but with whom I have sung, and to whom I have listened, and from whom I have learned songs. And so this communal part that you're aiming at here, first of all, the whole idea of sharing something like lyrics, okay? For instance, my nieces and nephews know a lot of the songs that I've done tonight. So we share that. They're not their songs, they're not my songs, they're our songs. It's just, it's wonderful. I always thought that someone like Dave Mallet, who writes these wonderful songs, or Gordon Bach, or some of these other people, what an amazing thing to hear your song sung by people who now it is their song. The whole idea of sharing something that is known so particularly in the sense that a little phrase that your family might have done that has been added to that song, for instance, that is peculiarly that group. Okay. Also, just the whole idea of passing things on. My uncle Lan, brother of my dad, my uncle Art, these are people who sang and loved singing, and to understand that they were, oh yes, they were my father's brothers, and here we are, remembering them, and distinct expressions on their faces and so forth, as we're learning songs, as we're talking about songs 50 years ago, 40 years ago, is a big part of my memory. But the other thing that Robin brought up is also interesting, because she brought up a song you think, oh my gosh, this guy is a broken record. He's been singing this song at this bonfire to now a woman who's been now teaching several years in another state. And you're thinking, maybe it's time to get off that record. So there are some things that are worth doing again and again and again. And we have them in our prayer books. We have them in our hymn books. And so just the whole idea, it's great to have some things that are known and repeated, as well as adding the new things. It's just to be open to the new and remember the old is pretty darn important.
Thank you. We have a few comments in the chat now. Ned did say that his favorite song, or one of his favorites, was All Creatures Great and Small. And then later has a comment, I think it's important to also remember and listen to the music of the natural world.
Yes.
I always loved having students sit still and quiet and listen to the wind and water and animals, the greatest music of all. And so if you have any comments about that, and then there are a couple of other comments in the chat too.
There isn't anything more thrilling to me. No human sound is thrilling as a loon call. And I don't even mean the wild chatter, just the low moan at night. That's so expressive. And think of your own, the mighty songs coming out of these tiny little songbirds. But for that in particular one, look for a song called Wild Birds. And it addresses that. All by the roadside, the wild birds fly up out of the thicket and into the sky. Red birds, blackbirds, they sing as they fly. Thank heaven for wild birds. They're all dressed up in feathers with colors outrageous. They soar from this earthly bound kingdom of cages on delicate wings, so small and courageous.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Let's see. We have some more comments. Kathy says that singing is a way of learning to be in harmony with others. Yeah. And then Rick says one of his absolute favorite songs is by the Canadian singer Bruce Cockburn, called Lord of the Starfields. Which I don't know that song.
I don't know either.
I will look for that. Lord of
the Starfields.
Okay, great.
And then Janet says Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise.
Yes, that's wonderful. Yes.
So, are there, I can't see on my screen. Let's see. Here's one more. Ross says that he once heard Mike Seeger and Doc Watson trade songs for almost an hour, songs about birds.
Yes. That's great.
So a lot of songs about birds.
Listen to the Mockingbird was current when the university was founded, 1850s, 1860s. And there were a lot of little girls in this country named Hallie. I'm dreaming now of Hallie. It's the first line of that song. And there were a lot of Hallies in that era.
I'm thinking, Bran, about this is Robin, about how music ties us, brings us into communion with people who've long since passed. I was fortunate enough to do my field work for my dissertation around Boone, North Carolina. I lived up on the mountain, and my friends were all the old timers, whether physically old or young. They were from that culture, and we sang, we played music, we'd sit around in a circle, and if you only knew one tune, you would play your tune, and it didn't matter how well you played it or sang it. Then we'd stop and watch the children play, and then somebody said, well, what song are you going to do? And when I'm playing that music now, I can feel their presence.
Yes.
I feel like I'm connected to them. I'm breaking up now because it's so real to me. So I think music does bring us in harmony. It brings us into communion, and when we can learn to listen in music and learn to listen outside, the same thing happens. It brings us into communion with the Lord who is in all things and with the things themselves. Um, I mean, Yolanda, my
Yes.
wife and I were coming back from Pennsylvania and driving through Kentucky, and happened to look at the map. And I was driving at the time. Yolanda looked down and said, "There's paradise." Was on the map, and we weren't far from paradise. And I love the song there, John Prine's song about paradise, and the coal company who came and hauled it away. So we thought, well, we'll go see paradise, and drove into the little town. There was one crossroad in town, and it was a John Prine highway, and turned left to go to paradise, which literally was at the end of the road. There was no paradise there. It was massive dirt, sand, rock, all scarred up, still coal trains there. No town, of course, whatsoever. The end of the road was the Paradise generating plant,
Yes.
where they were generating the coal, the electricity from the coal. And that song became quite alive for me. I've always loved it, but to actually see the paradise that was hauled away was quite meaningful. So that whole sense of place and loss too
Yes.
is there. I think it's kind of suitable that then the generating plant is since closed. So even the plant's no longer no longer there either. The whole thing is shot. But at any
So-
rate, that's been my experience.
That's a wonderful tag, because as I was blazing through this stuff, there are a lot of things, notes I had made to myself that completely went by me. But after I sang "What Have They Done to the Rain," I just was going to refer to Paradise, and since you brought it up, here goes. Here's what Wendell Berry said about Paradise: "We have despised our greatest gift, the inheritance of a fruitful land. And for such despite, for the destruction of paradise, there will be hell to pay." So, yes, thank you for bringing up Paradise. And but that song comes right from the heart of that man. His grandfather ran a ferry there. You could only put like 2 or 3 people on. It was a tiny little thing. And there's a picture of his grandfather with a black man. They ran this ferry together. And so that song is not a made up song. Okay, that song comes right out of that John Prine's history, out of his family, out of his background. Yeah.
Thank you. We have a few more comments in the chat. Marshall says, "These tunes often take me back immediately to the place I first heard them. Thank you for taking me there." So. And then Mary Potter says, "Mr. Peabody's coal train done hauled it away." Yeah, that's the lines of the song. So, yeah.
Oh boy. Thank you for reading all those comments. I haven't been looking at the comments, so it's very nice that you're doing that.
You're welcome.
I have one last question I might throw out for everybody, which is something that I've pondered for a long time. In the Psalms, of course, they speak a lot about singing a song to the Lord. That, those Psalms, I think, often were sung, but I've wondered about the Psalms that speak about singing a new song to the Lord. To me, that's very evocative. And I was wondering, Bran, if you or John or anybody else has any thoughts about why this sense of the importance of a new song, not just singing the past songs.
We could start with the song we sang first, that hails the new creation. Okay, that's right out of that first song. Okay, and that's not an accident. The whole idea of anything that's fixed as a creation is just foreign to me, right? If if there's creation, it's ongoing as far as I'm concerned, and that is the new creation. Everything from the youngest child we know to more philosophical ways of looking at it is one of the things that just keeps us going, Robin. You know, what are we learning that's new? Even if it's old stuff that we're learning, it's new to us and we're excited about it, and that excitement generates positive things. Yeah.
Thanks, Bran. Anybody else have something to offer on that question? Offer a parting thought, and then I guess we're winding down. It's one of the things I've thought about along your lines, Bran, is that God calls us to collaborate
Mhm.
with God in creating the new creation. We're co-creators with God, and we can do so for good or for ill. Hopefully, our creation will be glorifying God. But it seems to me that God is creative, is always creating, and that's God's nature to work with and to do something new, so that when we sing something new or sing something old but afresh, a new sense, or we learn an old thing that's new to us, we're participating in this creativity of God. It's a creative sharing in God's own way of being. So I think that's why being alive to newness, whether it be in song or new perceptions or new ways of thinking, new places, that awareness is a godly thing. So I hope tonight we'll all go home singing a new song, uh, or singing the old ones in a new way, so that we too can be renewed and be part of this new creation. So thank you so much, Bran, for sharing your wisdom and your talents with us tonight. I know I feel refreshed, and I hope the rest of us do too. I'm sure we do. So until the next gathering, invite you all to join us on the 19th with Colin. It's wonderful. I hope you'll get a chance to hear him. He's a marvelous teacher and friend. So have a blessed evening. May we all go forth in the joy of the Lord. Amen.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night,
Thanks
everybody.
so much.